Could Newcastle be about to do something crazy? Gordak, Isak, and Mbeumo front three. Newcastle were linked to Mbeumo in the summer. They were rumoured about making a move for him. And to be honest, Newcastle must have had some money for a winger because they went for Elise. I think they put the 50 million that Palace wanted for Elise. I think on deadline day, they put like 50 million down for Elanga. There's money there for Newcastle to sign a winger. And if Brentford are willing to sell for the right price, I wouldn't be shocked if Newcastle made a move for Bryan Mbeumo or Bryan Mbeumo, whatever it's called. But let me break the news. So Mira Darren's coming out, and a couple other people are now jumping on this, that Newcastle make an approach to Brentford for 60 million in Mbeumo. Now look, if you're just wondering, Alice, what channel is this? This is the More Alice channel. I've got Alice Talks Football, which is Man United content. I've got Aquila Football, which is analysis, or if a deal was done, I do analysis on the player and analysis on the game. And the More Alice is going to be more like transfer rumours and discussion. But Bryan Mbeumo was linked to Newcastle by several sources in the summer. Apparently, he's ready to leave Brentford. He likes the idea of moving to Newcastle, was all news that came on in the summer. And Newcastle obviously like this guy. Now, there is talk from the Mirror and Darren about Newcastle to make a 60 million approach for Bryan Mbeumo. So I'm going to talk about why this would be the signing of the January window and the front three of Isak, Mbeumo, Gordon. How good that is. Now, this is Mbeumo's stats this season, which is insane. 14 goals and 3 assists in 2,000 minutes. 14 goals and 4 assists in all games this season. So he's got 17 goal contributions in 23 games in the Premier League. That is very, very good statistics. Now, what I like about Mbeumo is he would probably play on the right. Jacob Murphy's great, and he's been putting some really good balls to Isak, some really good low crosses to Isak. But Jacob Murphy, maybe is overperforming a bit. He's done really well lately. Bryan Mbeumo is just a level up of quality. And the thing about him is he can be back up to Isak because he's played striker for Brentford. He can play centre forward. So you could rest Isak because Callum Wilson can't stay fit. Suda's not really getting many minutes. And that, I think, but he can also go right wing. And I think that's so good for Newcastle because you have someone that can play in the middle, that play in the right, then that would allow you to rest Isak. That's probably what Newcastle want for time to time because I think they're quite reliant on Isak. I know that Gordon could play in the middle and Harvey Barnes could play on the left, but that's insane depth. If Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy are attackers on the bench, Almiron's gone as well, I believe, which means you probably do have funds for an attacker. This could be crazy. Now, the reports in summer that Mbeumo wanted the move. Now, these is my notes from when I did a video about why Newcastle should sign Mbeumo. I'm going to say June or July, I think I did a video on why Newcastle should sign Mbeumo. And I spoke about many Newcastle videos. So these are stats. This is from summer. These notes. 24, Premier League proven, able to play right wing centre forward, offering cover to Isak, allowing Newcastle to save funds on a striker. 15 goals in 23 PL starts last season, which was the season before this season. So yeah, he managed 17 goals and assists. He managed 17 goals and assists in the PL last season. So he got this season. He's already on. I think. Look. 17 goal contributions. Last season, he got 17 goal contributions. In the season before, he got 15 goal contributions in 23 starts. It's so confusing because these were notes for ages. So there's a consistent output there with Mbeumo. But what you've got with Mbeumo is more than just output, more than goals and assists. You've got to talk about the player. Is they good? Yes. Would he suit Eddie Howe? Yes. And Mbeumo is a great presser of the ball. He can press. He can work hard. He constantly makes runs in behind. He's a transition threat. Newcastle, Anthony Gordon, Isak transition threat, but he's also a player that's good enough to able to make those runs and movements, help break down the low block, and quite comfortable on the ball. He uses his physicality quite well, and he's a very good ball striker. One thing about Mbeumo is in terms of finishing, in terms of striking, in terms of being clinical, he's got that. And I think with Newcastle, Isak's quite a clinical player. Gordon, I think, is improved in that sense. Having Isak, having Mbeumo, having Gordon, they're three attackers that you wouldn't really want to give the ball away to. They're quite clinical players. But what I think I like about Mbeumo the most is how two-footed he is. He's a two-foot player, which makes him unpredictable. Is he going to go to the left? Is he going to go to the right? He's more of a natural goal scorer. He loves to cut in off the right, shoot, but he can put those crosses in and he can create and he can do those 1-2s. But he's got speed. He's two-footed. He controls the ball well. And when you've got a forward, you want them to be unpredictable. Anthony is a Man United fan. So predictable, so one-footed. You know he's going to cut in and shoot. Mbeumo is unpredictable, and in the Premier League, you've got to be unpredictable. He can go outside, he can go inside. You could have Livramento and him overlapping on the right-hand side, which would work really, really well. Or you can have Mbeumo, underlapping, making those runs, playing those 1-2s off Isak, because we talk about Isak as being the most complete striker in the Premier League. Haaland's a box striker and natural finisher. Haaland's going to be there to get on the end of things. But if you're talking about Isak, he can drop deep, he can dribble, he can link play. Isak could almost drop, and then Mbeumo could make runs off him. Gordon could make runs off him. Was it Murphy? Didn't Isak drop and assist someone in a game? Who was that? Can't remember. But Isak could drop and he could run off him. He's got that pace. And I think when you look at someone that's hardworking, when you look at someone that has got output, that can be a threat on transition, but also can hold the ball well, is unpredictable. That's what Eddie Howe will want in his wingers. Eddie Howe wants hardworking wingers. He wants someone that can be back up to Isak, play as the right winger. But also, I think with Mbeumo, and this is just my opinion, this is what I picked out more so when I did analysis of him last year, but he makes very good decisions. Like, I think his decision making is good. You know, he's got that experience. He's ready-made now. It's not a 19-year-old that's raw. He knows when to cross the ball, and when Isak's there, you know, that's, you know, you see Murphy right now crossing the ball to Isak is clutch at the moment. He knows when to cross the ball, but he also knows when to shoot, when to carry. I think he gets in the right areas. He reads the game well, and he's really developed these last 3 years under Thomas Frank. Interestingly as well, he would count as homegrown. You know, he's a good goal scorer. He brings more threat to the right-hand side. Lewis Howe and Gordon on the left-hand side. Livramento and Mbeumo on the right-hand side. That's like top. Isak in the middle. You've got Tonali, you've got Guimaraes and Joelinton, which is brilliant midfield three, but you might swap Joelinton out for someone in the summer. And then you've got, obviously, Burn and Botman have probably been unreal lately. And then you've got Shah, and you're probably bringing a long-term centre-back to replace Shah in the summer. But you get Mbeumo done. And I look at Newcastle and I think, well, if they just get maybe another midfielder and that centre-back for depth, because Botman's had injury issues, like, that Newcastle side is top. And look, I'm going to be honest, Isak is an output monster. Gordon's got good output, and Mbeumo's got good output. And Mbeumo playing for Newcastle right now is probably going to get even better output. Like, so I'm not going to lie, I would be a bit scared. I won't lie, I would be a bit scared if Mbeumo went to Newcastle. I mean, I'd want him at Man United. My first choice at Man United is Cunha, because I think that United need a more natural left side of them, because we've got Ahmad on the right. My second choice for United is Mbeumo. And I think whoever lands Cunha, whoever lands Mbeumo, those teams are lucky, because they're the two players in the Premier League that I think, you know, when we talk about Sir Alex Ferguson, he got, you know, United's strategy in Sir Alex Ferguson was taking some of the best players from other Premier League sides that weren't like the big clubs. And I think that's what I've noticed that Newcastle may go towards. You know, Forest have obviously done that as well recently. They've taken some good players. Newcastle have taken some good players from Premier League clubs, but if you want to be at the top, you need to look and get the best players. And then Mbeumo's the best player at Brentford. Cunha's the best player at Wolves. I feel like that didn't make sense. You know, Bournemouth have got some great players. Hoyson could be one for you to look at as your long-term centre-back. You know, Paul Mitchell, I know he had a bit of a disappointing run-in, but he is good at recruitment. But I think your recruitment lately has been really good. You know, Isak, Gordon was a really good buy. You know, Lewis Hall, Livramento. I'm talking about bringing people from Premier League clubs. Livramento, Lewis Hall, Gordon. I think that's really good. Then you go and get a good deal abroad on someone like Tonali, because Milan need to sell. You sign a top striker in Isak. And then I think, you know, being able to get stars abroad for good prices like Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, but then also being able to find some of the best players in the Premier League that are ready to take that step up, like an Mbeumo or like a Cunha. That's the way to go. I also think Semenyo could be a shout for Newcastle. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. We'll see if this transfer news develops. Again, it's just come from Mira Darren. I don't know how reliable it is. It's not come from Ornstein, but more Alice is going to be more about just discussing transfers. Aquila Football is like, if the deal is done or essentially done, I do an analysis on the player. I do match reactions. This is going to be like more just transfer talk and reacting to things. Yeah.